Kathleen Anderson is coming on. We're going to chat about her experience behind the scenes while Dave goes to the little boys' rooms. Um, anyways, Kathleen, thanks for coming
Can you
on.
see
Thanks for
me?
joining us. Yes, we can.
Okay, I can't see you.
You can't see me, huh? All right. I better pull this up and do this and boom. There you go. Now you'll be able to see me.
There you are. No, I don't feel like I'm talking to myself, which is what I do all day long.
Oh, yeah. But
Right.
uh, Kathleen, thanks again for coming on. We chatted with you before. A lot of people, a lot of people really liked your message. One of them is listening right now, Mally May. And just yesterday we were talking and she said, I need to talk to her and get a hold of her. So she
Okay.
wants to talk
Okay.
to you about future runs and stuff. So
Let me
if
say
we
hi.
could, yep.
You said it's Mally May.
O'Malley May.
Oh,
Her
Mally.
it's not her
Well,
real name. It's her pseudonym, her
yeah.
online persona.
Okay.
But
No worries. I like it.
good. So I think she wants you to run in the future, and
Yeah.
I think she's got ideas and thoughts for you. So if we can help link you two together and get you going on that.
Okay.
All right. But anyways, kind of what we wanted to talk about was
Do you
your
care if I wear my?
experience.
I can't see you. Is it okay if I put my glasses on?
Of course.
Does that bug you? Okay. I can see you now.
All right. Good.
Is that David? Hello.
Yep.
Hi, Kathleen.
How are you?
So
Super duper.
how was your experience behind the scene during the race?
All right. What do you want to know? Where do you want to start?
Uh,
I'm an
just
open book.
just tell us
Okay.
how you feel about it.
Um, I have some reservations about obviously some things that took place during the race. I mean, I don't have any false delusions that the outcome for me would have personally been different because I think the three front runners were the front runners the entire campaign for everybody. So even if the person who's the nominee hadn't won, I still don't. It wouldn't have been me. I do wonder, though, had they done ranked choice voting, what the outcome would have been, because it was clear that nobody would have won the first round.
Mm-hmm.
And if it had forced people to rank people one, two, three, four, however many they decided to rank, I think the race actually would have been very different because I don't think anyone that ended up in the top three would have won the race at that point. I think that there were a lot of candidates who were people's second choice or third,
Mm-hmm.
but as long as their number one stayed in the race, they continued to vote for that candidate. Do you understand what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
had they had to actually rank them in order of preference, I think that it could have been a very different outcome, actually. And I usually am not a fan of ranked choice voting, but in this instance, I think it could have been different and better, actually, had maybe that been the way that they had voted at convention.
Let me ask you a
But I've done
question.
yeah, go ahead.
Do you think that the outcome of the convention, do you think negatively about the outcome? What are your thoughts on that first?
No, 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 no. I absolutely respect the delegates' right to choose whomever they
Yeah.
want,
But I
and
mean on your
it
personal
was
feeling.
clear. Yeah, no. Well, when I gave my second speech and they asked me if I wanted to endorse somebody else, I genuinely hadn't thought that through, and so I wasn't prepared to make that decision. Who would I have endorsed? And I do believe if I had given an endorsement at that point, it probably wouldn't have been any of the top three who ended up being the top three. It would have been somebody else. I will tell you this unequivocally. I met some of the greatest people during this campaign. There were, I think, originally 13 Republicans who filed, and then that reduced to 12 when one was eliminated, and then another ended up not participating. So I think there were 11 of us total. I met some really, really wonderful people. And I found that during the whole process, the week long process, there were a group of us who kind of, when they would tell the candidates to go here or to wait there were usually only like 6 or 7 of us who would do that. And so I got to know 6 or 7 of the candidates well, but the others were never there.
Yeah,
and so I don't know. I don't know if you saw that picture that I posted online that was taken at convention while we were waiting for each other to speak. But one of the candidates, I won't call anyone out by name because I don't have permission to tell the story. One of the candidates handed my husband their telephone and said, "Hey, will you take a picture of us?" And I looked at the person and I said, "Well, but not everybody's here." And that person responded, "That's my point. This is kind of how this whole process has been for us. And the other people are never here. And the 3 front runners were never with us." And so I don't know if you saw us sitting there at convention.
We sat right behind you. We were right behind you, like on the same benches behind you at convention. So we noticed that as well. It felt like, and I don't want to be conspiratorial, but I'm going to lean in anyway. It kind of felt like everything was selected, or your choices were selected for us.
It felt to me like an A team and a B team.
Yeah. You were the generals and they were the Globetrotters.
Maybe, or they viewed themselves as varsity and treated us like junior varsity kind of thing. And that was, that was my experience. And I don't know, those people who were sitting there with us on those stadium seats, I respected some of them immensely, and I didn't know them before the 2-week process even began. And I'm just going to sit here and tell you that there were some excellent choices at convention who people did not even consider for that race. Didn't even look at a second time. And I think that's a shame. So what do you do to change that?
I definitely think ranked voting would have made a huge difference.
I think it would have been a different outcome. I think someone else would have won. I do.
And it would have been a lot quicker.
Other than the top 3. Yeah. If you weren't going to vote, I mean, it really felt to me like as convention wore on, that it became an anybody but Greg Hughes vote. I don't know if you perceived it that way, but it seemed like
it felt like everybody that from certain groups.
Yes. And people will say, no, we were really just wanting someone from Southern Utah. And I'm thinking, well, I don't really think that that's how the vote ended up being for obvious reasons. But it really felt like it was anybody but Greg. And so we're going to go with one of these other 2 people. And I think it could have easily gone between Celeste or Jordan at that point. If she had endorsed Jordan, I think he would have won. And I just think it's a shame because I think there were some great candidates in the race who just did not get any consideration whatsoever. Or if they did, they were number 2 or 3 on people's lists.
It's hard. This race, maybe we could have been more prepared. We tried we could also be handsome and have lots of people that want to watch us. That would have helped. But we wanted to get everyone's word out equally. We wanted to give all you guys an opportunity to talk. And I really appreciate the platform that you gave everybody. But it's not a huge platform. I would have liked to have seen more. I would have, because we had that, 19 days or whatever it was.
It was not a lot.
It would have been nice to see, hard hitting. You couldn't have debates, but there could have been more effort to put your guys' words out by the party also. And don't get me wrong, I think the party did an excellent job on putting this together. It was a rush job, and I think there were lessons learned, and I think the party is going to recognize that.
Right.
But
let's be honest. I don't really think the debates were debates at all.
No, they weren't debates.
They were how well can you speak in a 1-minute soundbite? And I don't think that's fair.
They were beauty contests.
Yeah, right. It felt like a beauty contest. And then also, I had so many people reach out to me and say, how come none of the things I care about are even questions? Who's coming up with these questions? I don't know where they came up with the questions, but there were so many issues on the minds of people that were never addressed. And I think that's a shame also. But I wish that, you know what, in hindsight, what would I have suggested they do instead? Maybe invite each candidate in for a one-on-one interview for an hour with the chairman and ask everyone the same questions or whatever, and give people an opportunity to sit down and watch this interview.
Yeah.
What is this person like one-on-one, and make those links available. I don't know, or maybe 2 or 3 at a time or something. I don't know.
That's what we were trying to do, is a 1-hour session with everybody. And I don't think we asked the same questions. We let the candidate kind of steer the conversations. But it is hard to vet, as me as a delegate, it's hard to vet people you've never heard of and no accomplishments about if they're not willing to sit down and talk to you for at least an hour. And even an hour, still, I feel like I was left with more questions than answers.
Yep. It just scrapes you're just skimming the surface. And I agree. And that's what's unfortunate about such an abbreviated campaign time in the special election. So, it is what it is. I don't want to be perceived as sour grapes because like I said, had Celeste not won, and if the information about Celeste had come out sooner, I still don't think the outcome for me would have been different.
What information about Celeste? What is the information?
Oh, just what everybody's been talking about since convention. Where did she live? Her voter registration, and those types of things. Because it wasn't until Sunday, the day after convention, that I started reading all of these allegations on social media about how she hasn't lived here. Her voter registration in the state of Utah wasn't current, that a change to her registration occurred after she filed her candidacy and after the candidate filing period had closed. And that absolutely appears to be true. So for anybody watching, let me tell you who I am, or give you a little background about who I am. Yeah. My husband is actually a former chairman of the Utah Republican Party, and he was the chairman from 2017 to 2019. And so at the time he was the chairman, the lieutenant governor was Spencer Caucus, who's the governor now. And when my husband was the chairman, obviously they also held conventions, and they even held a special election exactly like this because Jason Chaffetz stepped down in 2017 and held a special election to replace him, which ended up being the election where John Curtis won. And my husband, when he was the chairman, there was someone who used to work in the lieutenant governor's office by the name of Justin Lee. And I don't know what Justin's actual title was, but anytime any changes occurred to someone's voter registration or anything, Justin would call and just say, I want you to be aware of this issue. Here's what's happened. Here's what we've done. FYI, just so that you as the chairman of the party are aware. Now you have the information and you can do with it whatever you think you need to do with that. And so it was a very respectful, courteous relationship. And it happened often, where those types of calls would come. So when I started hearing these rumors on Sunday, and I started looking into it, especially when I saw the screenshot of the alleged change in voter registration from inactive to active on June 15th, I knew that the filing deadline was June 14th because I was the last person who filed, and I filed about an hour before the deadline closed. And so I knew immediately that this change to this person's voter registration occurred after the deadline. And so on Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember what day, maybe Monday, I called Chairman Rob Axon to ask him, when were you made aware of this? Was it prior to convention? Because had he been made aware of it prior to convention, I think it should have come up. And I think the delegates, someone probably would have at least challenged it to allow the delegates to debate, do you feel this person meets our membership requirements to be a candidate in convention and in this race? And they might have said, sure, she's fine. But at least it would have been transparent and the issue would have been discussed. I couldn't have participated in that because I'm not a delegate, but that would have been the most ethical thing to do. And so I asked him, when did you learn of this? And he told me that it wasn't until early Sunday evening, late Sunday afternoon, June 25th, the day after convention, that he received a phone call from the lieutenant governor about it. So 10 days after the change had been made, and now 1 day after convention, that was the first time he was aware of that issue.
Can that,
and to me,
could that complicate her running? I mean,
now I don't know. You've seen that people are saying, well, constitutionally, you only have to meet 3 standards. You have to be a citizen for 7 years, at least 25 years old, and inhabit the state at the time of your election. But see, in my opinion, that's not what we're talking about, because that election will be the general ballot in November 21st. What I'm talking about is ballot access to the primary. And in 2014, when the state of Utah updated their current election law with Senate Bill 54, they allowed 3 pathways legally to access a primary ballot. A candidate could choose to go through convention of a political party of their choice, and the political party can determine what membership requirements they have to do that. You can gather signatures, or you can do the third option, which is a combination of both. And so the lieutenant governor's office, for those who aren't aware, oversees all elections in the state of Utah. And in my opinion, that is the most important job of the lieutenant governor's office, to oversee elections and to ensure that the elections are honest and fair. And so, I went onto my political Facebook page, and I've written about all of this, and people, said, Kathleen, well, I don't see that any laws were broken. And I'm not alleging that any were. But my hesitation is the information was not shared with the party prior to convention to allow the membership or the delegates at convention to decide for themselves, does this person meet our political party's membership requirements? Are they a resident of the state, a registered Republican living in the state of Utah? And they may have said, well, I don't know. If this person's registration had gone inactive and was not activated at the time that they filed to run, but occurred after the deadline has passed, on a technicality, maybe we don't think they are. Are you following me?
Yeah.
So,
and I imagine this is going to be used by the Democrats against her in the upcoming arguments.
But also on the other side, there was accusations that she did not register as a Republican until the 15th of June.
That's what we're talking about.
And the truth is, it's not that she wasn't a Republican. The truth is, she was a Republican. She was always a Republican, but she wasn't a registered Republican of that particular latitude and longitude. So
in Utah,
from my perspective,
not an active. And I think by everyone's admission, she had fallen to the inactive roles. And
so she was a Jack Republican.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just saying we need transparency, and there should have been transparency in this issue. And the fact that there wasn't, I'm not going to ascribe motives for why the change was made to the registration when it was. It could have been for a couple of 2 obvious reasons, in my opinion. But neither one excuses what happened either, in my opinion. I believe this was a matter for the delegates to decide. And here we are, I had Brian Schott reach out to me like an hour ago and ask me why her name still had not been submitted as the nominee to the state of Utah. And I don't have an answer for that. I have no idea. Nobody's discussing that with me.
Why did he reach out to you on that?
Probably because my husband's a former chairman.
But even then, why would he reach out to a former chairman? Because can't he get a hold of the chairman?
Oh, I don't know. But I think this is unusual because when my husband was the chair, the immediate Monday following convention, the names were always forwarded to the lieutenant governor's office so that they can be printed on a ballot. So here we're well past, I think, what's traditionally done or historically done. And if they really do believe that she's the nominee, why haven't they just gone ahead and submitted her name? I don't know. But as of like an hour ago, it hadn't happened. So I don't know if it will happen today. I don't know if it will happen by the deadline of 5 p.m. on the 5th. I don't know why it hasn't happened. But when I talked to Chairman Axon on Monday, he was unequivocal with me that she was the nominee and that they would be submitting her name. So I don't know why it hasn't happened.
That
So-
is a question. I wonder if maybe the Republican Party organization here in Utah isn't taking their time to double check that they will be in compliance with everything before they put her name forward. Which, if there's a question, that's what I would do.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that another political party, and we'll just say the Utah Democrats because it's easy, they absolutely could legally challenge that name.
Just argue it.
And seek to have her disqualified because we didn't follow the rules.
Yep.
But if Chairman Axon's version is accurate and honest, which, like I said, I have no reason to doubt that it isn't. I think the party, did everything that it could and acted in good faith when they put on this convention. And I don't think that's where this error occurred. I just think that the LG's office should have been upfront about it. And I think it would have, in good faith, the chairman would have given the delegates an opportunity to weigh in on it. Just FYI.
Oh, your
And
phone's
we're gonna
breaking up.
Put, time on the schedule for you to. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you
No,
hear me?
it's okay. You guys are, let's just put a note out for the listeners. You and your husband are traveling right now, right?
Yes, I'm sorry.
You're at a.
Would it be better if I get off Wi-Fi and go to a standard?
No, we'll just keep
You're
it going like this. Just there's going to be a couple of bumpy spots, and we'll let them know. You know what? I will translate for you when you bump out. It'll be incorrect. It'll probably be comical, but I'll just go ahead and carry on like that.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. It is what it is.
You don't. So you're not saying you think that there is something untoward happening in the party, but you think that there may have been a mistake made, or that there may be the appearance of a mistake made.
Definitely a lack of communication from the lieutenant governor's office to the party. Yes, a lack of communication. And, for those who don't know this either, when you file to run for that office, you're required to go to the lieutenant governor's office in person and to fill out the paperwork, which 22 of us did. And I don't know what the staffing is of the lieutenant governor's office, but the lieutenant governor's office maintains the voter rolls for the whole entire state of Utah. And I think it is absolutely a reasonable expectation that when somebody comes in to file to run as a candidate with the Utah Republican Party, that while they're sitting there with you, watching you fill out your paperwork and taking your payment, which was just under $300 a piece, that they could easily look you up on their database to see, are you a registered Republican seeking to run through the Republican Party? It would have taken just a matter of a minute or two, and it wasn't done.
Well, here's the
until
question.
15th.
Is that a requirement of the state? Because when they say resident, does the state mean a resident of Utah, or does it mean a resident of the United States? Is it clear on that?
Well, the Constitution for Congress says an inhabitant of the state at the time of the election.
Okay. So,
and in my opinion, the election occurs in November. We're still talking about the pathway to the primary ballot that these candidates are filing to run for. So I'm filing in her office that day to be a convention only candidate. That's what I did. And so did the majority of these people. It would have been, I think, just easy to check and see, well, you want to go through the Republican Party's convention system. Well, let's ensure that you're a registered voter and that you're actually a registered Republican, because it's simply a matter of just checking the box. And but apparently they didn't check
Hmm.
until after the deadline passed. Somebody didn't check, or somebody wasn't aware. I don't know. I don't know who became aware of it. I don't know if it was Lieutenant Governor's office and then they contacted Celeste, or if it was Celeste and they contacted the Lieutenant Governor's office. But her name was not on the voter rolls in February.
Hmm. I
Because
imagine they would have contacted her first. That just seems like how you would manage that
right.
instead of
And
doing a telephone game.
Yeah. And there's a couple reasons why maybe her name wasn't on the rolls back in February.
Well, she'd been working for our congressman back in Washington, D.C.
Right.
And
well, 20 something % of the voters in Utah keep their registration anonymous. So you can't see it. Private. It's private. Okay. So there's that. And then.
So I could become a Democrat and make it anonymous and no one would know about it?
You could make it a private. Yeah. For your eyes only. You could. So I think there's a bunch of reasons why, or at least 2 reasons why her name wouldn't have appeared.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I'm just saying it should have come out prior to convention. And if the LG's office had kept, with standard practice years prior, a phone call would have been made to the chairman to say, hey, you should be aware of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I certainly hope that the Democrat Party, we spoke to the Democrat candidate last night. And I hope that the Democrat Party doesn't use this to knock her out. Not that I think that any one person is going to make a change on the national level to improve or destroy us. I think the trajectory we're on is the trajectory we're on, and we're going to stay on that until something monumental happens.
Could you imagine if the race does not have a Republican candidate?
In Utah.
It will, because we have signature gatherers. It will. So we know that one signature gatherer already turned in 7,000 signatures yesterday. I think there's going to be. No, it was
not rough. No,
Becky Huff. Becky Edwards turned hers in yesterday. I don't know that Bruce has turned his in yet.
Okay.
I really believe you're going to see 3 Republicans on the primary ballot.
Really?
Yeah, I think you will. So I think Celeste will be one, Becky will be one, and I think that Bruce Huff will be one.
That bill that they put forward to allow these signatures is going to haunt the state of Utah for a very long time. I imagine we're going to see that moving through the legislation to undo within the next 8 years.
Hey, Kathy, let me ask you a question. If the election happens in November and the Libertarian has like maybe 100 more votes than the next leading candidate, do you think they'll make everybody re-vote?
No.
Like they did us delegates?
Well,
oh. No.
I was confused about the voting system they had there, but I think that was because I maybe our winner take all politics, when there's 2 political parties run, allows for that one-time mass vote. But I in a way I kind of understand. It was confusing, but I understand why within one party they would keep doing the vote and drop the lower person off. But it's pretty wild. From all the numbers, if they'd have just had one single vote and just the person who got the most votes wins,
it would have been easier.
It would have.
It would have been easier.
You have to remember that typically in the Republican Party, when there's a convention, a nominating convention where you're putting forward a candidate to the primary ballot, if no one receives 60% plus, they would put forward 2 names. They would take the top 2, which is what you're talking about. But the legislature changed the law for special elections such as this one and got rid of that and told the party that you could only send 1. That never happens. The only candidates at a nominating convention who can typically win 60% plus is an incumbent, someone
Yeah.
who's already in office. It's very difficult for an open seat like what we saw for anyone to even get to the 50% mark, which is what you saw, that what took 5 rounds, and one of the top three had to concede to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like how much the legislature has put their finger on the scale of what the party can do. I think they should have allowed them to put forward 2 names. If you're not limiting how many people can gather signatures, why are you limiting what the party traditionally does and put forward 2 if nobody can get over 60%?
That is a good question. I don't know. It just seemed weird to me how they would have a vote and then one person to drop off. And then they'd have a vote and then another person to drop off. Then they'd have a vote and then 2 people would resign off or step down and sponsor
Yeah.
someone else. And the sponsorships is what won that election.
Yeah.
It
The
was
endorsement.
the endorsements that
Mhm.
that carried the day with all of that. I don't think, you know, there was a little bit of wrestling and pole position on it, but it was the endorsements that carried the day on that. 100%.
Not just the endorsement, but the endorsement at the same time a candidate withdrew their name from contention.
Yeah, it was another
Yeah.
candidate withdrew and then endorsed someone else. And
Yeah.
that was the absolute winner. It wasn't any of the speeches. I don't think any of the speeches swayed anyone. It was just that a delegate's candidate stepped down and endorsed another candidate, and that's what I think did the sway. You could do it when you listen to the numbers every time it happened.
Right. Did you what do you think? Did you think most people had their minds made up prior to convention, the delegates?
I originally thought that when I went in, I thought, okay, everyone's probably got their mind made up, but I saw what I felt like it was like a brokerage almost towards the end after the multiple votes. The first vote is an honest vote. That's who the delegate wants. And that's who the delegate voted for on the first vote. But after the second, the third, the fourth, people are trickling out because their wives are angry or whatnot. Those votes don't seem genuine to me.
Now, I can see why the party does that, though. Because could you imagine the uprising if the party would have just went, okay, first vote has it done? I think you'd have lost half the Republican delegates that day. Instead, they got a chance to step back and say, okay, the guy I wanted wasn't wanted by the most, but who can I stomach the next? So, in a way, I understand that. And I'm not even saying the endorsement thing is wrong. I'm not going to say that's wrong or say that's bad. I am just going to say that is what won it. 100%.
Well, we see that happen. We see that happen in presidential primaries as they drop out. They will throw their support to someone still remaining. It happens.
But there's only one vote for the president. I mean, you vote, you put your ballot in, and then.
Well, I don't know. How is it on the primary though? Because we weren't voting for president. This was a primary to who gets to run for it.
Yeah, in the primary, we don't have a runoff primary or election system in Utah at this point. So it will be whoever receives the most votes, not necessarily the majority. So if they're all getting 30-something%, it's the one who gets closest to 40 is going to win.
Okay,
it'll be plurality, not majority, plurality. But then
so
again,
we do that on our presidential primary. Why can't that count for our congressional or senatorial primary? Why do they have two different standards?
Yeah. Well, you mean at convention?
Yeah.
Because the bylaws at convention have been written that they want their nominee to receive the majority of the vote, not just plurality, but an actual majority.
But why is it okay for presidential, but not for congressional or senatorial? What's the difference?
Well, what we're talking about is what the Utah Republican Party does to nominate candidates. And in Utah, it is by preferential, but it's the general ballot. I mean, it goes on. Everybody who's registered voter can vote. We're not doing that at the party level first. It goes straight to the primary ballot. So I don't even know when we're going to do it in 2024. It looks like they keep moving it up, so it's sooner than later. It used to be so far after everybody else's. It kind of felt that we already knew who the nominee was by the time Utah would cast their votes in the presidential primary. It's just how the party has it set up. So one's local or happening at the state level, and the other is just it's a national election that's happening at the state level. Does that make sense?
And that's true. And also,
I'm not explaining that well.
the presidential primary is done on a national level by the national party, not on a state level. And national bylaws are different, and they don't have the impact of the state legislature involved. So I get that. But and I'm not arguing. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not even going to be the one that argues that the outcome of the convention was wrong, of the special convention. I am just going to say there was a lot of horse trading there, that those last two votes where you had people talk for a minute and then step out and boom, done.
I saw employees of campaigns. I think they were giving each other like hand signals and stuff. It's kind of like a football game. I'm thinking, there's probably a lot of minutia within the rules for larger organizations and campaigns to kind of wiggle their way into victory, even if they aren't the most popular candidate.
It did look like two of the top three campaigns were working together. It appeared that way to me as well.
Well,
and that's why it said it felt like at that point it was just anybody but Greg. We didn't care, or they didn't seem to care which one of the other two won it. They just didn't want Greg Hughes to win it at that point.
Why do you think that would be?
I don't know. I don't know if it's because the other two were from Southern Utah and that really meant that much to them. I don't know. People, I've had a ton of people reach out to me since the convention, but it hasn't been to talk about that issue. I don't know. I've been to so many conventions over the years. I've seen so many crazy things happen that nothing at conventions surprises me. And I actually go into conventions wondering what crazy thing's going to happen today, because it's really unusual for there not to be something crazy.
Just imagine being a libertarian, though. Those guys have guys get naked on stage at conventions and all that stuff. So yeah,
very different.
But no, I get it.
Nobody asked me to do that.
Politics is messy and wild and ugly and gross and beautiful all at once. It's crazy stuff. So.
Well, I just want to reiterate, there were some excellent candidates in that race. Yeah. And I wish that more of them had received consideration, because I'm confident that there were probably 5 or 6, had they won, we would have been in really good hands going forward.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it's nice to know who's running and to really delve into some of these people.
So when you run again next go,
I don't know that I
don't say that. Come on now. Just, let us have some hopes.
All right, whatever.
All right. Yeah. I'll bake a plate of cookies and bring them by. They're not very good. It's an offering, not a please eat this, because I'm not.
Well, my husband really likes those no bake chocolate ones with the
good, because I don't know how to bake. But when you run again, reach out to us. We like the whole message to get out there. We like the idea that people get to listen to thoughts and ideas and maybe say, all right, that right there, that's what I want to see carried forward.
You gave a really good speech on your second go around about taking the garbage out. It kind of was quite inspiring.
Yes.
Was it?
Yeah.
I really had that thought in the kitchen the day before I went to open the garbage can, and I was like, oh, something in there is rotten. What do? You take it out. That's how I feel about a lot of what's going on in government, Remove it, cut it out, remove it.
Yeah.
It's harder to do, though, than it looks.
And
I just feel like, maybe it's time for people to really start uniting within the party and start targeting specific races. And even if it's just one at a time, it matters. Eventually.
I'm 100% in agreement. I actually think it's time for people to start uniting as a state and saying, these are our state boundaries. These are what our state's willing to deal with, and pushing back on the federal government more.
Exactly.
I think we need to start doing that.
It's interesting you say that, because when I was thinking of my speech, I kept coming back to stand your ground. And then I thought of Florida and their stand your ground laws for self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had the distinct thought that standing your ground isn't enough anymore. You have to push back.
Mm-hmm.
You have to push back, because standing your ground, I think they've still inched us backwards. You have to push back, and you've got to get over this hang up that if I push back, then I'm not kind. This has nothing to do with being kind and kindness, but you've got to stand for something. You cannot forfeit rights and freedoms and liberties because you're afraid someone's going to say you're mean.
Yeah.
You've got to do better than that.
Yeah.
This isn't about being nice. And I'm not saying you have to be a jerk, but you got to push back.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yes. We need to. And like, my most appreciation for DeSantis was during COVID when he said, no, Florida's not doing this, because we needed a popular state with a Disneyland and a Universal Studios to make that stand. We needed that. We couldn't have all of our populous states fall, because he was the bulwark. Right. What was it? South Dakota did it with, what was her name? Kristi Noem. She did it.
Yep.
But South Dakota has what, 4 more people than Wyoming? It didn't matter. We needed a populous state.
But it all matters, and we do need more populous states. And I wish that even within the Republican Party, don't bash DeSantis going into a presidential primary, because I think all of us recognized what a great job he did as governor. It is okay to have multiple people you actually think have done a great job. Mm-hmm. You don't have to bash one because you like another one better. Mm-hmm. If there's someone I wish people would just support whomever you support, and not think that means you have to bash the one that you don't. Mm-hmm. Because I think we recognize that there were some really great conservative voices during these past 3 years around the country for various reasons. And I am so grateful to them for speaking up, because I'm sure it wasn't an easy thing to do. And I do respect Ron DeSantis for that. He really.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What was the lieutenant governor of Texas, Abbott's lieutenant governor, when that kicked off? What was his name?
The guy that was in control when he left on a plane?
No, you're talking Idaho. What was Abbott's lieutenant governor in 2019? Greg Abbott from Texas.
I don't remember who the LG is in Texas.
He was my favorite, because he went on the news and he said, and I'm going to massacre what he said, but bear with me. He said, I'm 56 years old. I've lived a full life. Don't lock down the kids. Let them have a life.
Right.
Oh, and they're like pushing back. Well, you're in danger. You could get sick and die. And he said, I'm old. I'm an old man. I've lived a life. And he's the most, his words have borne out the most, because mental health is shot through the roof. Mm-hmm. Childhood depression, childhood test scores has plummeted. It's the biggest drop in 40 years of test scores. The biggest drop. Huge. Yep.
When I look back at some of the pictures of California filling in their skating parks.
The skate parks. Chasing people up and down the beach. A guy's out there surfing by himself.
Exactly.
He's 100 yards out in the water on an empty beach. And the police chase him.
Yes.
Jesus. Yes. Newsom is a schizophrenic mess. And I think we should elect him tomorrow, because nothing will be quicker to tearing down the federal government.
But yeah, I just watched people just losing their minds during COVID.
Jeez. It's insane. And then you had, I don't know, what's that? When the FBI tried to kidnap her and drug 3 innocent people along with him. What's her name? Up in Michigan.
Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah, Gretchen Whitmer. I apologize. That was a Freudian slip. I should never let that happen. Anyways, when she locked down, what was it? Gardening supply stores When food starts
Because-
becoming in crisis, she
because
locks
they
them
weren't
out.
essential. They weren't essential items to buy.
She
Yes,
just wanted to punish her plebes. She just wanted to punish the servants. The unwashed masses should fill her boot.
But didn't her
Jesus.
husband get caught going out of town or going boating or doing
No,
something?
he called
at
the
same time?
marina. He called
Yeah.
the marina and
Yeah.
he says, and this will be a quote, not verbatim again, but bear with me. He calls the marina and he says, I want to get my boat out this weekend. And the marina says, I'm sorry, the governor has put a lockdown on boats. You can't have boats out. Don't you know who I am? I'm the husband of the governor. I should be a. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
They recorded it.
No,
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they
Oh,
recorded,
yeah.
but they reported on it.
recorded it. Yeah.
These
No, we have this two-tiered system of everything. It's justice. It's the rules for me and not for thee, and
Yes.
for thee and not for me. No, it's we got so many problems in government today.
Yeah.
And to close it out, this voting session with the delegates, after vote number 2 and 3 and 4, I felt like we were building a 2-tiered system, and they were wiggling in the candidate that they wanted rather than just saying, hey, this was the results of the vote originally. So I that is how I felt as a delegate. And I don't
So
think,
you wish they had called it and given it to Hughes at round 1.
I wish they would have given it to whoever won at round 1. Yes.
That was Greg. But they announced how this was going to play
Yeah,
out.
it was you
before
had to
we
get
started
over
voting.
you had to
Yeah.
get over 60% to clear it
Or
on
50.
one vote.
Yeah.
Or over 50.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not gonna plead conspiracy theory on this or any of that. I'm not gonna plead that, but it does. What I am gonna definitely say is, and I'm not even knocking the candidates for this, is that as they dropped out and endorsed another candidate, I mean, that was some wheeling and dealing, and we did see that happen. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's actually to be expected.
Yeah.
You know,
And
if you're-
I didn't see that happening. You were sitting somewhere where I wasn't.
we were right behind you. We were 4
Yeah.
seats up above you on the same
I
group.
had a little more elevation. That's about it.
Maybe I was right down on the ground level.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
you
didn't
and
see
your-
all that. Yeah.
You and your husband were right below us.
Yeah.
It was
Oh well, good time.
it was interesting, and a lot of the state is angry right now about how it turned out.
Yeah.
I certainly hope that the legal parameters are met with Chelsea, because I would hate to see it,
Celeste.
or Celeste.
Chelsea's Hillary's daughter.
Okay, Celeste. I hope the legal parameters are met, because I would hate to see it if
Challenge. Yeah.
if the Democrats pushed her out and their candidate got in. We spoke to her last night, and she is my nightmare. Just she's a wonderfully nice human being that is delusional as all get out. She's just delusional on how she thinks the federal government should operate and everything.
Who?
What's her name? Kathleen Riki.
Reby?
Oh, Reedy.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay.
She's a perfectly nice human being.
Yeah.
She shouldn't be around any of the levers of power, not one of them.
Wow. That's good to know. I haven't heard her speak yet.
Oh, go listen to her talk
Interesting.
with her.
I wouldn't. I would. Yeah. Well, I'm at the point now where I'm gonna support Bruce Huff in the primary
Okay.
and hope he gets the signatures.
Hey,
yeah,
I-
that's where I am.
I know this might be outside of your wheelhouse, but we just got done talking to the Libertarian candidate, who is a former Republican.
And very, very
Oh,
well
yeah.
qualified.
Yeah. You should probably check him out. Watch that interview with him. Of course,
Okay.
it's it's just me and him talking about pornography the whole time, but it's an inside joke talking about liberty and small government.
Right.
Yeah, interesting guy.
I saw an interesting tweet today. Somebody said in one tweet, tell us what your most conservative principle is, your most liberal, and your most libertarian. in one tweet. Your most conservative belief, your most liberal belief, and your most libertarian belief.
All right. Should I tell you mine?
Yeah, I'd like to hear it. What is it?
My most conservative belief is that here's true, most conservative, is that you need to take personal responsibility for your life and your actions. That's a conservative belief.
Okay.
My most liberal belief is that it's not the government's job to enforce morals or what you ingest into your body, and that is just corrupting our legal system by them trying to take that job on. And my most libertarian belief is that, I guess the easiest way to put this is the government that governs best is that which governs least.
That's a good quote.
And there's
How about
my,
you, Dave? David, do you have your three?
I can tell you that my most conservative one would be, I'd say take responsibility for yourself. Second, what was the liberal one, right? Yeah, I need a liberal one.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've got any of those. Don't hurt people. Don't initiate violence. I think that's a pretty liberal thought process. And then a libertarian, I'd say buy Bitcoin. Lots of it.
I haven't done that. Interesting. All right. My three were, my most conservative belief was that I believe all lives are divinely created and therefore matter. Period. I don't care what your skin color is. I don't care if you're born or unborn. I think they're all of divine creation and they all matter. That's my most conservative belief. Number two, what's my most liberal belief? It's kind of like the first, but different. I also believe that the earth is the creation of God and that we should treat it accordingly. Take care of it. And then three, I don't think government should be in the marriage business, period. Ever. Get out of it.
I like it.
That's my
beliefs.
my libertarian. Those are my beliefs.
I never did understand why marriage has to be done through the government, because I always thought God was supposed to do that. But,
right?
Things change, I guess.
Well, as a minister,
a tax. It's a tax. Another fee.
Yep.
Another tax.
I can just tell you, as a man of the cloth, I think it should be dealt with on a community level. But yes. But anyways, no, we've got a lot of good comments in here for you, so we'll do a scatter shot through them if you don't mind.
No, do it. Any questions for me from anybody?
Okay, there's anyone vote for?
Oh wait,
Okay.
wait.
Don't read.
Go
don't
up
read
one.
the mean ones.
Go
Go
up
up
one,
one.
Jared. Go up one.
Okay,
Up one more.
up one more.
Look at that one.
Okay, Chelsea says Becky sucks.
No, the one down there.
O'Malley May says I need dark chocolate. And right after we're done talking with Kathleen, we're gonna do a dark chocolate thing. Oh, and beef jerky, baby, you'd cry in the shower. Okay, here's one. Jordan Hess did that. Who else did it? They're talking about anyone who, Chelsea says, anyone who have voted for Hess ended up voting for Celeste. That's because Hess endorsed Celeste right at the end. And I'm not going to say that's good or bad. That's just how it is. It would be a little bit of a coincidence.
Did someone tell me to go cry in the shower?
No, they said they're going to go cry in the shower.
Oh, because I just want to state for the record, I did not shed a tear over any of this.
No, you didn't. I think you carried yourself very well the whole time. No, they said they're going to. They're not happy. She liked you and the other guy, the young guy, were the two people she liked. This individual said that. But yeah, it does. I'm not going to say it's a conspiracy, but it does kind of bode that the two people that had the most time, the three people that had the time working in Washington, D.C., either for congressional people or as lobbyists, all gathered together and then supported each other and then put their person forward at the end. It kind of makes me wonder if there's not something going on in D.C. that us here in Utah don't know about.
It's hard to be an outsider.
Yep.
And to run and win. Can we all agree on that?
Oh,
It's
yes.
very
Most definitely.
hard. Yeah.
Oh, yes. All right. Molly says, I'm used to my candidate not winning. Nobody cares about my feelings on that. Yeah, that's true.
Welcome to the
I
club.
can't.
All right. Adam,
I care.
go on. What's that?
I said, I care.
Yeah, good. She cares. And you were also the person she was supporting. So, okay. Adam says, libertarian clown living in La La Land. Well, Adam, Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We have been running with the Democrat and the Republican, or dare I say, the conservative and the progressive playbook now for 110 years. I'm just saying.
I'm ready to book a trip to La La Land. I'll
You know
give it
what?
a try.
I say it's time to listen to Einstein and try something new. Also, Mark Twain said, never argue with idiots. They drag you down into the mud and beat you with experience. Anyways. Okay. Chelsea says, Jared dances for them. Shannon says, Kathleen is amazing. She says, you will stand up and you will call out the wrongs and stand for the right. And yes, I like that.
Thank you.
Chelsea says, no Baker, the best. Okay, here we go. You need to run again. That's coming from Chelsea. So now you've got two supporters on the line. We have some time to get her name out there and show Utah who she is before the next go around. Yes. And
100%.
yes, I like that idea. Jared, that doesn't do anything when our state who has more power is just as corrupt and out of control. She's talking when I mentioned the state needs to become a bulwark for the people against the feds, and you're probably correct there. But could we wrestle back the state at the same time as wrestling the feds out of our life?
I think we can.
Good. All
Yeah.
right. Shannon says pushing back is so important. Dan Patrick, that's the name. Dan Patrick is the name of Abbott's lieutenant governor. Now there was the lieutenant governor of Idaho, who's also another. I think this one's a lady. The governor went on a trip somewhere during COVID.
Yeah.
And the lieutenant governor came in and wrote a whole bunch of anti-COVID laws.
Yeah.
That governor is a lady, but her balls drag on the ground. That's all I'm going to say. That chick is awesome.
They must run separately in Idaho, because when I was reading that, there's no way that was a ticket, because when she was governor for the day, wow.
She went in and wrote insane laws like you can't do this, you can't mask kids, you can't do this. Yeah. She went hardcore. I don't agree with some of the laws she wrote, but I agree with her gumption.
She's the opportunity, huh?
Dude, she was awesome. I laughed. I fell out of my chair. All right. Okay. Chelsea says Jared's voice just lowered by like 10 octaves. Is something wrong with the audio?
No, it was, you were talking about Reby.
She will destroy us. And then they're laughing about my voice. We don't need to carry on about that too much. Okay. Another one. We want you to run next go around. Just say it, Jared. Jared, stop reading my comments 20 minutes later. I'm always correct. Okay. Apparently I don't read comments fast enough, but yeah. But no, Kathleen, everyone liked your message. I think they want to grab you, gather you up, and push you into running next go around. So
I don't know that will happen, but let me just end by saying everybody who's reached out to me, and I've had a lot of people reach out to me after convention with very supportive phone calls and emails and text messages and private messages on social media. Just thank you. I mean, it really does. It means a lot to know that people care enough to write something nice, because heaven knows that people don't hesitate to write something mean.
Mm-hmm.
So it is nice when people reach out to be supportive, even after the fact. And there've been a lot. And I've talked to so many people this week that I've never really ever spoken to before. And I appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you for running.
You guys. Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for stepping up to support the state. Thank you for being an open and honest person. Thank you for your candid conversations. I mean, we've really enjoyed all our time visiting with you first at the debate, then on here on the internet chat, whatever we did, and then at the convention. We've enjoyed it the whole way. And I personally think you were an excellent candidate.
Very transparent. Thank you.
Thank you. It's what I want in government. So I think be what you want to see, right?
I like it. I like it.
Well, thanks again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and we hope we talk to you again soon. We hope we talk to you for your upcoming election. I think Romney's seat is coming open, right? Are you
You guys, that would be so delusional for me to run for Senate.
really? I don't know. We could
You don't think?
I don't know. I don't see why not.
Just also ask for people that go and run for office is tell them that you are fiscally distressed and do not pay that fee. That fee is insane. You do not have to pay
It is insane.
You do not have to pay it.
Yeah, it's insane what it costs to run for office.
Yeah, that is insane. And I just want to mention Feinstein is a senator in the United States, so I think you would do just fine. Ooh, how about Fetterman is a senator in the United States?
I'll get you a sweater.
All right. So what you're saying is the standards have definitely.
Oh,
I think you can meet them.
yeah.
Okay, well, that would be good.
Or are you too good for it? Might be the question. You're too honest. You're too upfront. You're too decent. You know.
Keep those thoughts to yourself, Jared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
I
tell her.
think the thing that bothered me the most is when people would look at me and say, "Well, you don't really look like a fighter." There's a lot more to what someone's willing to stand up against and push back on than what they look like. You know.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate me. Talk to my husband. You know, but there's so many things I'm just not going to compromise on, and integrity is number one. No, I'm not compromising on that. So
I agree.
well, thanks again. I appreciate it.
Kathleen,
my
thank
husband's
you.
dragging me out. We got to go to this wedding anniversary. So
Yeah, you guys go do your thing. Have a very good weekend.
Go be with family.
Have a fun time, everything else. But thanks for coming on.
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. You have a wonderful whatever you're doing.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
You too. See.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
All right. So that was Kathleen Anderson. She, I don't know. I want to do a takeaway. I enjoyed talking to all the Republicans on this special election cycle. It was an interesting chat with all of them. Becky dropped out on us. We didn't get to talk to the young guy. What was his name? Ice? No.
I do have his information. He's willing to come on the show and talk about his
Good. We
experience.
just didn't get a chance to, I think, because of time and
Time is a
inability.
limited resource.
But
yes.
he has an interesting story that I like to push forward, and he's got a lot of gumption, a lot of anti-ATF coming out of that guy. I like it.
Yes.
All right, so Dave wants to advertise some stuff. So
Well, that's not a very good segue. So, every once in a while you stumble across a product that is unique and surprises you, and you wouldn't normally probably try it unless it was given to you, right? Yeah, I had that experience this week, and I felt like I needed to reach out to the world and tell everyone all about it. So I will. My friends brought me from Michigan, the land of the free,
the home of the Whitmer.
Yeah.
God, Whitmer and Hitler's close. I don't know how I made that mistake earlier.
Well, I'll tell you what, after you try these products,
I have tried
you'll be Zieg-hailing. Check this stuff out. We've got chocolate Haas chips. I've got the dark. Jared?
There's some chocolate here. Right now they're seeing the internet.
Oh, well, let's show them these wonderful chocolate chips.
Okay. Yes, this is a professional production, folks.
Now, I'm telling you, these are unique. These
We're
are
gonna-
different. I would have never tried them unless somebody showed me these things. These chocolate chips are really chocolate covered chips.
They're
good.
They're wrinkly or crinkle chips that are dipped in chocolate or covered in chocolate.
You know why they taste so good, though? Let
Yeah.
me tell you. This product is made by somebody who BlackRock or Vanguard does not invest in. And I think there's an extra flavor to that. For some reason, it just tastes more conservative, more valued, more community, you know? So I want to support this guy.
Yeah, and you can order this stuff online. They've got a website. It's Alpine Chocolat. So that's the European chocolate Haus. So it's ALPINE dash CHOCOLAT.
It's either Swiss or German, right?
HAUS. It's European of somewhere. You know, one of them proto freedom.
But you're not going to find chocolate chips like this in Utah. You got to reach out to this company. You got to have them ordered to your house, which can be a little bit of a hassle. But I'll tell you what, in the end, it's worth it.
Sure can.
These are a great product, and I just want to thank the guy who makes them. Thank you.
They've got a Facebook and Instagram, a Twitter. You can go and look and see what they got. You know, go check them out. Yeah, the Chocolate Meister's sitting there with his chocolate covered apple, it looks like, or something. I don't know. But yeah, go check them out. Dave likes the guys, and I tried one of each of them. They're good. They're chocolatey and salty and humana. You know, rather delightful. But that's all we have for tonight. We'll go over and see what the last little bit is saying it. Okay, no more. Yep.
And don't forget to subscribe, smash like, and all that other great stuff for us, because we're trying to reach out there to you guys. We want to be out and transparent and give you a platform to research the candidates, to stay up to date with events, and to inform your community. I mean, you guys can reach out to us, say, we want to talk about an issue, and we will let you speak. And I don't think Vanguard or BlackRock will have any input to what you have to say if you want to come on the show.
Yeah. And you know what I'm thinking for the debate going forward on this special election? I think when we bring someone on, we may just, I mean, now we've got to introduce them to you guys out of the way. I think we'll just have them come on and pull up the comments. You guys just ask them directly questions you have. So our next candidate we have on, jump on here, ask them directly, and we'll just run the show like that and just have filler if no one comments. But we'll do it just like that. Because, I mean, we all know I'm a quirky mess, and Dave only cares about Bitcoin and drones, and you know, so you guys might have different ideas. Like Chelsea has a lot of good questions. But anyways, you guys have a wonderful weekend. I think that's it for us, right?
Happy 4th of July, everybody. It's
happy
fast.
4th. Be safe. Don't anybody lose any fingers. You know, remember the 4th of July is about freedom, independence, liberty, you know, things like that. Stuff that seems like our elected officials have forgotten about. Hopefully we can get on it. But you guys, be safe, and we'll talk to you soon.